And there we are, right at the 1 o'clock mark. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I am so glad to be here with you today. As we all get settled, feel free to answer into chat this question. What is the most valuable thing that you have personally learned this year? So now this can be professionally, it can be personally, it can be teaching related, but it doesn't necessarily have to be teacher related. What is the most valuable thing that you have learned this year? Now, as you think about this, I'd like to introduce myself. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. My name is Mary Bartkowski, and I am a part of the teacher effectiveness team here at Proximity Learning. I am part Jewish, I am part military spouse, I'm part chocolate, part peanut butter, and I truly believe that the whole is not greater than the sum of all its parts, unless we're talking about Whataburger. And for all my Texans out there, if you've ever had that green chili double, you know exactly what I am talking about. And I love reading this. Yes, that your classroom works best when you have a steady facilitator. That is an important thing to have learned this year. And communication is important no matter what field we are in, Today, as we go over these topics, if at any time you feel like commenting or providing any kind of feedback, please feel free to drop a message into chat. I would more than gladly hear that feedback. I'll welcome it. If you do have a very specific question, go ahead and use the question and answer feature, and those questions are going to get answered at the very, very end. So how far away are we from achieving a realistic workload for teachers? So an American productivity consultant and the best-selling author, David Allen, pretty much sums this up best when he says that we can do anything. And yes, teachers can do anything, but not everything. Yet many teachers, we have this unrealistic expectation put on us that in fact we have to be doing just everything. And time again, the key reason that teachers are leaving the profession completely, it doesn't have to do with pay, it doesn't have to do with behaviors in the classroom. What it has to do with is workload. Workload is the key there. In chat, I'd like to hear your reason why you want to go ahead and teach virtually, because your motivations, what keeps you in a virtual classroom, it might be different from the person on the screen next to you, you know? So whether you call it virtual teaching, online, remote, work from home, flex, or something else entirely, many teachers have caught on that there are a host of advantages from teaching at home. And I see a lot of people, they've said they love the flexibility. Some are saying medical reasons, and home. Flexibility, military spouse. Girl, I'm right there with you. I understand that one. A better work-life balance. Virtual teachers have a flexible schedule, and we can start and end our days where we choose. Less commute stress. So ditching the commute allows online educators to focus on the priorities outside of work, like getting a little bit of extra sleep in the morning, or spending more time with your family, maybe getting in that workout, or for me, eating a really good breakfast. Remote teachers also have location independence. Now, if you are like me, and I saw that we do have some military spouses here as well. If you are a military spouse, you can teach wherever the government goes ahead and sends you. You do not have to start over at the bottom at a new school on every single move. Now, if maybe you're a retired teacher who likes to travel, or if you're just a person who likes to travel in general, maybe you're in an RV, you can teach wherever there is a stable internet connection. Money saving. Get a load of this one. So, according to the Global Workplace Analytics, the average teacher who works from home saves $5,000 a year, not paying for gas or transportation, not worrying about car maintenance, not worrying about their wardrobe, lunches, and here was the big one for me, not paying for my classroom decor or my classroom supplies. Increased productivity and performance. Online teachers can focus on what really matters, the students. This happens because there are fewer interruptions. There's less admin politics. There are fewer meetings that you have to attend. And all of this leads to better productivity. And the last one is well-being. Virtual teachers tend to be happier and healthier because working from home has shown to lower stress, because it allows us to provide for more opportunities to do our hobbies, to do our interests, to make those connections with the people we love. And yes, going to the bathroom when you need it. No, Christina, that is not something to laugh about. I know from a fact that there were times when I'm like, I just cannot. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, virtual teaching can be overwhelming. Whether you are just starting out, whether you've been doing this for several years, virtual teaching can be overwhelming. So the first tip I have for you is please ask for feedback. Be open to feedback because this is going to help you grow as a virtual teacher. Go to the specialist office hours, go to your department chair office hours. Come to your vice principal's office hours and ask questions. And if you don't want to ask questions, sit there, listen to other teachers asking questions. Clear and consistent communication. Consider having an approximate time each day where students can expect grades to be posted, or when they should be checking their school email to expect messages from you or announcements from you. Realistic expectations. Prioritize learning opportunities to maximize the student choice and the student voice. Wherever possible, go ahead and replace those grades with live feedback from you, and wherever you can, be flexible with the due dates. Tech is going to happen. So having multiple tech options and varied resources and an additional time built into your lesson can be helpful in order to handle some unforeseen mishaps. So when I was in the traditional classroom, if I wanted to give a spelling test, I knew it took like 10 minutes. Now it literally takes them 10 minutes just to log on to the right location. Okay, here it is in Canvas. This is where you need to be. So be really flexible, and that is our next one right here. It is important to be prepared, to have your slideshows, to have your lesson plans ready, but it's also really, really important to be flexible. Engaged learning is a collective end goal. It's not necessarily that you get through everything that you prepared and you complete all the day's lessons. Allow for those tangents to become learning opportunities. Find a tribe. So some of the people you're chatting with right now, go ahead and make those connections. Remember their names or reach out to them. It's not important just that we maintain our relationships with our students, but it's also important to maintain relationships with colleagues. Remote teaching can be isolating, so make your connections. Plan on weekly or regularly scheduled meetings where everyone shares resources or shares tips, or just everyone sits down and chats about their week. Maybe they vent a little bit. Now, PLI does have chat groups, discussion boards, and meetings, but you feel free to reach out to other teachers who you've made that personal connection with. Set boundaries. Communicate how and when students, caregivers, and TAs can contact you for additional help. You don't need to be getting a message at 2 o'clock in the morning and that demands your attention right there. And the last one, self-care. Educators, we're in the people business. We dedicate our time, our resources, our hearts to the benefit and growth of our students. So implement self-care routines in order to be your best version of you. And that's going to benefit your students. It's going to benefit your family and friends. But most of all, it is going to benefit yourself. Now, these are the three things that PLI is currently doing to create a healthier environment. Workload is directly linked to well-being. And you and I already know a happy teacher is one who is going to produce better outcomes in the classroom. So it is important to create a balanced workload. Now, all teachers do have to lesson plan. We're probably not going to escape that anytime soon, right? Now, PLI knows it is absolutely not practical for you to go ahead and spend 2, 3, 4, and 5 hours lesson planning for a 45-minute class, right? That's way out of balance. Now, by allowing our teachers to have a scaled back lesson plan rather than those detailed minute-by-minute lesson plans actually is where PLI is actively working to balance your workload. Now, many case studies have shown that teacher well-being increases when teachers have a voice. PLI trusts our teachers. I trust you. You are trusted in your profession. There is no one in PLI management who is micromanaging every single thing you do. Now, when you are a trusted professional and when you have a voice in your own classroom, you're not fearful, and that can be very, very liberating. And the last one, PLI places and trains teachers to move them upward within the company. All of our specialists have at one point been a PLI teacher or a PLI sub. Now, this means that our management and our leadership has practical experience. We're not going around saying, go ahead and do that without ever having done it before. One of the most sought after employee benefits right now in the United States is a flexible work schedule. Now, just as the name suggests, flexible work hours means, well, yeah, they're flexible, right? So this means that employees at PLI are allowed to deviate from a traditional 9 to 5, Monday through Friday work schedule. Now, we are not going to ever be able to get completely away from it because our school contracts, they still meet, from 9 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, and there's not a single one of them that meets on the weekends. However, PLI employees can customize their schedule to meet their own personal needs. So this could mean maybe you block schedule yourself. Maybe you know that your baby wakes up at a certain hour, takes a nap at a certain time, so you want to work a very specific set of hours. Or maybe this is your side hustle. So maybe you're going to end up working only certain days of the week. Now, there's a study out of Stanford University. It recently came out. I want to say it came out in April of this year. What it said is that teachers are 33.5% more productive when they are working from home. And I believe it. Just like you were saying, we don't have all those extra duties. Yeah, if your time is your time, you can place that focus in on the students. Now, when the extra time and energy that comes from flexible hours, teachers do end up engaging with their students more fully. They make those connections. Remote teachers are able to stay fully present and better concentrate on the tasks at hand. And the flexible schedule allows you to have more work-life balance. You have more free time. And I love all the comments in chat. I love that you're focused there. I do want to ask you how many times this year, and you can put the number into chat, how many times this year did you personally attend a professional development session? Now, I'm not going to ask you if you found the content relevant. You can keep that a secret just for you. But what I do want to share with you is that Proximity Learning has their own designated team just for professional development. Now, Katie Oliver heads a strong team of leaders who create unique training specifically for virtual teachers and even more specifically for PLI teachers' needs. Now, this means that the sessions that PLI presents are always relevant and always free. Now, Katie's team goes ahead and they lead monthly sessions. They're live, there's some asynchronous trainings. And I personally have been working on what I call the Car Wash Mini PD series with my team Orange. And what this means is you get in, you get the learning, you get out in 15 minutes less or less guaranteed. Additionally, Proximity Learning has partnered with the National Virtual Teacher Association, which they offer certification, they offer continuing graduate credit, college credits for continuing development. Now, I will mention this is not free. Obviously, if you're taking a college course, these ones are not free. But PLI does have payment plan options that you can take a part in. Here's one that I love mentioning. Starting this year, we are going to have 250 full-time positions. This is the first time we've done this. And these are year-long commitments. They are roughly 35 hours of weekly teaching and planning. And after 2 months of working full-time, you can be part of our healthcare package. Now, if you are not a full-time employee, you still can take advantage of our healthcare package. You just have to coordinate with that with our human resources to go ahead and get enrolled. After 1 year of full-time employment, PLI will allow you to go ahead and be eligible for our 401k. So these are pretty awesome and outstanding opportunities. In chat, what types of curriculum support are you most interested in having available? So what type of curriculum support are you most interested in having available? Now, most of our contracts, they use Canvas, and that's our learning management system. More ESL, ooh, I love that. I do love that. Now, Canvas goes ahead and contains the curriculum and the other foundational materials that you're gonna need to teach a quality lesson. However, we do expect that our teachers make their own content or make the content that's there their own. Now, you have autonomy in your classroom to develop the lesson plans so that if you see that your students need a little bit extra because that's not quite hitting the mark with them, you have the flexibility to go ahead and do that. You can modify a homework assignment. You can go ahead and modify any kind of assessments that they have to make it a better learning experience for the students. And here's what is even better. PLI has a whole curriculum department, a whole team of curriculum developers. Now, this is headed up by Monica Portillo. Her team also has department chairs. These department chairs have their own office hours, chat groups, discussions, where they share content and ideas. So if you get into a class where Canvas doesn't quite have it for your group of students and for their personal needs, reach out to those department chairs and get some of that shared content. Now, that also brings into the whole, well, what if they still don't have it? If the course still doesn't have everything that you need and you find it on Teacher Pay Teacher, Teacher Pay Teacher is a great resource for teachers. Well, guess what? PLI offers credits so that you can purchase those materials for free for your classroom. The coordinator on that is Kate Chartel Novak. Tips, tricks, and tools for continued success. So give anonymous surveys. Your administrators, we only ever get to view you, a handful of times, but your kids, they were there with you every day. Your TA was there with you every day. Maybe your parents were even in the room every single day this past year. So they are really going to be the best feedback you have for finding out what this year was like and how successful you were. Now, right now, you may not have the energy, you may not have the mindset to go ahead and plan for next year, but guess what you do have? You have perspective. Go ahead, start a Google document for next year on what things you would like to include. Now, we at PLI, we do have a good Teaching Ideas tribe post if you want to go there. It's in our Equipped to Learn section. So any regrets that you had from this year that you can use to make yourself a better teacher next year, start writing those down. Now, the last few weeks of school can be challenging for students, and you even may be ready to kind of slack off, right? You can use these last few weeks, sometimes they are ungraded weeks, to have your students plan their own unit, or maybe do a cooperative unit, or maybe go ahead and take a virtual field trip. One thing I love doing is this is the time of year I love bringing in guest speakers. Just coordinate that with your vice principal, your CSS, but those are really awesome opportunities to really bring a little bit of excitement and energy to these last few weeks. Now, this is the time of year when some students' behavior begins to spiral out of control. So undesirable behaviors can lead to repeated undesirable behaviors, which can lead to a whole group of unruly, hard to handle students. And who needs that, right? So divide and conquer. Identify the students who are the most influential, who make the biggest impact on the whole group. Then split them up. Put them into individual breakout rooms. Go ahead and do small groups. Just make sure that you don't put your troublemakers into the same group. Break those ones apart. Tackle their problems one student at a time, one problem at a time. Now, in our end resource, I do have a roadmap that I'm going to include that kind of gives you a pathway on how to handle some of our most common tricky student behaviors on Zoom. Know the triggers, know the triggers. So are the issues arising because you've run out of lesson material? Are the issues arising because the students don't have enough exploration time? Or what happens more often at this time of year, are the issues because of a lack of routine? Try to make sure that you are sticking to a routine or a schedule, even if you've lost computers, even if you've got a shortened class, try to stick to a routine. And the last one, keep calm, be firm, but be fair, and avoid losing your temper. You know the class is bound to be problematic this time of year, so be prepared for the worst, but expect the best. And when you start noticing, your students are getting a little bit antsy, your students are interrupting more, your students are some of those little low-level behavior problems, pause. Get them up out of their chairs, have them take a 3 to 5 minute break. And that is your time. You use that 3 to 5 minutes to just breathe, breathe. Maybe you have to count to 10, maybe you have to count to 30, maybe you have to count to 300, but you use that break. You use that time so that you can remain in control. Now, I just saw, Mela, you put up that right now you've got a big problem. Your students are not even logging in. This is something I want you to pay attention to. We know that the end of the year is tricky. So we know now that we can start planning ahead. Consider student well-being as well. Consider their well-being during, like before, during, and after any of these friction points. Reflect on this past year and start labeling weeks or quarters or times as what I call mild, medium, and hot and spicy. So if you're finding out that your students are not even logging in, that's a concern. That's a hot and spicy. Write that down and know that, hey, once this happened, once they had finished their state exams, there was no longer a reason for them to log on. And this is when you are going to give them a reason to log on. Maybe this is when you do a lot of virtual reality. Maybe you do a lot of hands-on experiments at this time. But I want you to reflect on the previous year. Think about it in terms of things that do create those pressure points. Look ahead to next year. Now, maybe some of your friction points, maybe they are right before lunch. Right before lunch is always one for me. Maybe it's the first day, or maybe it's before a holiday. Look ahead to next year and predict when those medium and those hot and spicy ones might occur. And if you don't know, ask your students, hey, you know what? When did you feel the most pressure? When did you feel, a little bit of anxiety? They will be honest with you. Even our youngest ones will let you know some of that. And then ask for other teachers' suggestions. I have started a tribe post for you to share ideas on how to alleviate some of these common and even some of the uncommon behaviors. It is in our end resource, but feel free to, ask out in your group chat, private message one of your teacher buddies, reach out to your vice principal. Now, why does this work? Why should you even try this? Knowing the friction points can increase, and knowing that they're going to increase at certain times of the year means that you can go ahead and begin to plan. And when you do that, you can make it more manageable. And if you make it more manageable for you and for your students, then you can have a little bit less. Maybe it's not hot and spicy. Maybe it only gets up to a medium. Trust is essential to building genuine relationships. But for some students, trusting adults might not come very easily. And I guarantee you, for a lot of our inner city schools, that right there is a big one. Now, according to psychologist Dan Ariely, we tend to become more trusting when we believe that our interactions will extend for a longer period of time. Now, think about it. If your students have bounced around from teacher to teacher, sub to sub for the past 2 years, you are going to have to prove to them that that's not you. You're going to have to show them that you're going to go ahead and stick around. Now, I got a story for you. So I went ahead and I went into one of my teacher's classrooms, and my teacher was in Starbucks. And I was like, this is new. This is kind of different. It was a PE teacher. He was still doing his jumping jacks. He was running in place. The class was engaged. There was nothing else going on that raised any kind of red flag. So I let him finish his class. When he finished, I got on the phone with him and I was like, hey, this is not normal. What's going on? He's like, ma'am, I'm so sorry. Middle of the night, there was a terrible storm, huge tree crashed down, hit our power lines. We had no power, no internet, nothing. And so I got in my car this morning and I drove to where I know there's always going to be good internet. And I drove to the Starbucks and I talked with the manager. And what is great is that the manager and them, they put up coffee boxes and cardboard so that no student was ever seen by any customer or anything like that. And I was like, well, why'd you go through all that trouble? That's a lot of trouble. Why didn't you just call in a sub? And he's like, ma'am, I couldn't. My students had already had 11 teachers this year, 11 different teachers. I couldn't do that. I had to make sure they knew I'm different. I'm better than that. I'm here for you. I'm going to stick around. This is how we build trust, and this is what it means to be consistent. Now, this also leads into being transparent. Now, Ariely says that in the education context, this might include making expectations very, very clear and very, very, very predictable. If you do need help with stability and routine, in my end resource, I have included a video on just that. And the last one is listen. Listen to your students. Find out about their upcoming soccer game. Find out what their favorite Marvel character is. You need to get to know your students, genuinely get to know your students, so that they know you care about them more than just whether they can pass a test or not, or turn in their homework assignment on time. You need to create those relationships. Exactly, Anna. Creating personal, I'm going to quote that right now. Creating personal relationships is extremely important. And that right there, that is it. Friends, there are two types of speakers I personally can do without: those who never stop to think and those who never think to stop. So I sincerely hope I have not been either of those today. And I do want to thank you very, very much for showing up here today and joining with me. Now, as I said, I have an end resource, and I am going to go ahead and I am going to give that to you right now. And it looks like this, and I'm going to walk you through. Oh, also there is a gift card. I forgot about the gift card. Our gift card will go to Michelle DeClaro. Michelle DeClaro. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Michelle, you are our gift card winner. I am very glad that you were here with us today. And here is the end resource. Oh, you can check your email. Michelle, check your email for that gift card. And I am going to go ahead and post that end resource one more time just so everybody can see it. Woohoo! I see you there, Michelle. So here is this end resource. Now, what it has is, if you are not a teacher with PLI, I hope you click on this top link, because that's going to go ahead and take you to getting started working here at PLI. Some of the other links that I have here are going to go ahead and take you to a copy of the slides that we have. I was talking about that Zoom protocol. This is the roadmap. So if your students are starting to do weird stuff, just it's not the behavior you want, you're going to go ahead and you want to private message them. Don't call them out in front of their friends. Private message them. Then go ahead, and if that didn't work, maybe you're going to want to meet with them in a breakout room. So this is just a link that shows you kind of the steps you should take to go ahead and do that. As I said, there is a tribe post. You can go ahead and access that through here. If you are interested in stability and routine, this is my presentation all about that. And then this is my last one. This is the fun one that I love. And I do see there are 2 questions, and I will definitely get to those. If you are going through the NVTA process, or you just want to be an advanced teacher and you're curious, this is just a cute little quiz that I created to kind of test your knowledge. You start it off, you go ahead, you get your badges, you answer your questions. If you get it right, it'll tell you. It does play a song, but the banjo song is not one of my favorite. I'm going to be honest with you. If you get a question incorrect, it will go ahead and it'll start raining for you. And there are 4 levels to this. So it's just kind of cute there for you. Now I'm going to go ahead and read those questions. Can we get ACT 48 credits for PD attended? If it has to do with professional development, I would go ahead and reach out directly to Katie Oliver. She would be the best one to go ahead and answer any PD question. And also your Department of Education. Your Department of Education is probably going to be another really good resource for that. When do we find out what we are teaching next year, Mela? That is definitely the answer. That's the question of the day, I should say. That is definitely the question of the day. Human resources is going to be your best stop for anything regarding upcoming school year. They're going to be the ones who know if your letter of intent was signed. They're going to be the ones who have that kind of information. So if you do have questions on those types of things, please reach out to Human Resources. So Human Resources, you can reach out directly, hr@proxlearn.com, hr@proxlearn.com. And again, Mela, it's a great question. I would not personally have access to those systems. So those are definitely things to reach out to Human Resources for. And yes, Lee, if you need to sign off, sign off. I am here if anybody has any other questions. But definitely, if you need to sign off, feel free. Thank you. Thank you all. I am very pleased to have been a part of this today. So thank you. Summer classes will show up if we have them. There's not a lot of offerings, but if we have summer classes, those ones are going to show up on PLI Connect when they get loaded. As for all those great questions about selecting classes for the fall, if you are full-time, reach out to Human Resources regarding that. If you are picking up a class here and there, those ones we'll start populating those in August, sometimes in July, but usually August is when we see our biggest increase and our biggest rush for fall classes. So be looking at PLI Connect for those. And